Hello there, and welcome back to TerraFirmaCraft HardRock. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I've done a little bit more work on the base. Not much, but we've got this roofing done all the way around to the corner, and I think I completed the corner. Yes, I did. And we need a lot more terracotta. But that'll be an in-between thing. When I have some time, I'm going to go out explore because I don't think there's any more clay anywhere around me. Certainly not on this island here or this one here. So I have to go out further to find clay. You can't really create clay. You can use the strainers in the water to collect clay. It's a very slow process. I could make a lot more strainers to get more clay, but then I gotta make more netting, and yeah, it adds up. So what are we gonna do today? Well, it is, you can see in the upper corner there, day 500. Or it'll be day 500 after this day's over. And it is early autumn. Actually, September 19th. So it's nearly October in game. The storms start in November or December. The tornadoes and whatnot. And I don't intend to have to deal with them ever again. So, last winter, we had the tornadoes rolling around in our base. Actually had one cut right through our base. There's something you can do to prevent that from happening. And that is the weather deflector. This is actually not that expensive. For raw iron, you need 5 total brass mechanisms and 5 gem powder. I did not want to make it last time so you guys can see what tornadoes can do to your base and what to do to sort of protect yourself without the deflector. I'm gonna be making the deflector today. I do have to make a bit more iron. I've got some bloom here I gotta turn into rods, and I also want to make another filter up there. I technically want to make 2, but I need to put one over here to take care of all of this stuff because, well, all this dust keeps piling up because of the machines, and I've got the stone pump to try to get rid of the dust. It collects the dust, drops it all the way down underground to this hole in the ground filled with dust, which I can take care of in the future. But if I get another filter, I can just put it so that it takes care of that automatically. Don't have to worry about it anymore. So we need to make a deflector. We need to make another filter. Means I need to work on some iron. But I also want to make something else. And I'm going to need this raw iron rod to do it. I want to make some Chisel Bits items. The chisel and the bit bag. Because then we can do what I was talking about last episode and make a facade for this so that you don't see the broken texture every single time I walk by. So that's the next plan. That's something else we're going to do today. And actually one other thing. So I mentioned last time the one thing about HardRock I don't like is the health system and how it's changed from normal TerraFirmaCraft. So right now, one of the cheap, easy ways to live is garlic. You can grow it in almost any temperature in any region year-round. Normal TerraFirmaCraft, you need to vary up your diet in order to have a healthy diet. Obviously. If I go down here, go into my cellar, you know, we've got some food down here, but we also have this climate control station. I need to make a second one so I can make a greenhouse. I got tripped up on the words there, which means we're going to need more iron because I'm going to make the iron version. I could make the stainless steel version. I'd have to get more steel and I have to get some chromium, but I'm going to make the iron version. I think I'm going to put it here. So we have a greenhouse here where we can grow crops year round. They will not rot in the planters. You can also grow fruits, and although to grow trees you need it to be stainless steel, I think. Anyway, so we'll do that here. Give our base, another nice little item. And yeah, that would provide us with food year-round, so I don't have to worry about only being able to grow garlic in the winter. I can have carrots and potatoes and wheat and whatnot growing in the garden during the winter and summer. Also, if you're on the server, you put stuff in the greenhouse. If you log out and don't log in for a week, the food's still going to be good, even though time is passing while you're not in the server. So, go and do that. Go and do that. And we're going to do one of these. So I'm going to go grab all the resources we need and get started. We've got a bunch of bloom in the bloomery cooking up right now. So I'm going to make a chisel head using an ingot rod. We need bend, then draw. Well, draw, bend. I got to kind of do this fast. So I'll draw, bend. Not quite. That's also not quite. Ooh, close. And it cooled down just enough. There we go. And over here I got a bunch of brass, because I meant to make copper and I put the wrong thing in, so now we have a bunch of brass, but that's okay because we need brass anyway for the weather deflectors. So we're going to need to make brass mechanisms. I'm going to do this recipe instead of doing this one, since this is the better return. It's also a little less hassle. So we're going to do this. We need 5 brass mechanisms because each weather deflector has a 150 block radius, which is just under 10 chunks. So if we put it in the, if we put it like right at the entrance to our base here, if I go into this mode, it'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, at least that far by that far. If it's 150 diameter, if it's 150 radius, that means it won't just be that far, it'd be off the map in every direction. So we only really need 1 weather deflector to completely cover our base. So gonna be doing that. I think I can pull that out, and these are all cooled. So yep, let's get to making the deflector, and then I'll be back and we can look at making everything else. I need about 50 ingots of iron in order to make all the iron greenhouse walls. So that's going to take a little bit of time. So we'll come back to that. All right, I've got tin most of the stuff we're going to need. Got some opals here, and I set up a chute so we can toss the opals in. They'll get ground down, and we should get enough powder from this. That was quick, I didn't even notice. To make a couple things, actually. So I've got some brass mechanisms. I made a bunch. We need 4 to make the weather items. So 4 of those and 4 of those. That's the weather items we need. I also have a bit of leather because I want to make another couple pouches. I need some gold nuggets from right in here. And and I need some string. Oh wait, I need a bit more than that. There we go. So let's make 2 more additional item pouches. That will unlock 2 more inventory slots. There we go. And now we can actually make a few important items. Where did I put the... I definitely made the chisel head. I have no idea where I put... There it is. The chisel head. So, chisel and bits. We need the iron chisel head. To make that, we needed to take a rod on the anvil. You saw that it was quite easy. The stone chisel actually is pretty good. 500,000 durability. The iron chisel is 1 million durability. Actually, that's a gigabyte of durability, I think. The blue steel one is over 6 million durability. And the compressed iron is over 8 million. So I think the iron's going to be just good enough for now, since we're not going to be doing too much with it. Make the Chisel Bits iron chisel. Chisel and Bits iron chisel. Then we want some canvas and bit of string, and I can use plant string to do that. So do that, do that. Make the Chisel and Bits bag. So now when we chisel an item, we can place in the bag. And then while we're working on an item, we will automatically pull what we need from the bag. So that's going to be useful for us in a few minutes. So will that. Let's go back to the weather deflector. We need 4 raw iron rods. I've got 40 ingots of iron in my inventory because we're going to need a lot of iron. And this probably is not enough, but it's enough to get us started. So let's toss it into the rolling mill. This will turn us into rods, and once we have 4, we can make the deflector. There we go. So we want to do this, and we can't do that into this crafting grid. We have to do it the old-fashioned way. So this gives us the weather deflector. As I mentioned, you can do this early game. I intentionally didn't, so you could see what would happen if you didn't do the weather deflector and how to deal with tornadoes. So now we have the weather deflector. This will protect us in a 150 block radius. I think it's a 150 block radius. It might just be a 150 block diameter. Either way, I'm just going to go right here, place it there, and now I can do that, and we should never have to worry about tornadoes again. If they hit the radius, which is either around here or all the way up here, it will deflect away. So that will give us a nice protection. I don't think it can spawn within the radius. At least I hope it doesn't. But that way I don't have to worry about our base anymore. What's next? I want to make... I can remove that, that, and that. I want to make the iron greenhouse and a new climate control station. So we need that, that, and those. So this is a stone pump. We've made it before. It's a stone vent plus a bellows. Same bellows you make for the blast furnace and for the charcoal forge. The stone vent is 4 stone chimneys, and the stone chimneys are just 6 cobblestone to make 8. So pretty easy, pretty cheap. Now we have the climate station. That takes us down to just one more thing, and that is we are going to have to make a bunch of iron rods so I can start making the iron greenhouse. We're going to need 1 door. We have the station. We're going to need some walls. The greenhouse has to be fully surrounded by the walls, and the roof has to be either it has to be a wall block. Can it be a wall block? You could use the roof or the slab roof. I think you could use the walls also. I'm actually not sure. We'll test it out. We'll make a small one and test it out. Let's grab some of those and toss those in. And we made clear glass. We melted the sand down in our melter, casted it out. I put a hopper under the cast so it casts and then pulls it immediately into the chest. Makes it a little easier. But we made the clear glass. We can do this to make 2 doors. We only need 1. And then we do this. That's only enough to make 8. We're going to need to grab more rods. Okay, we got 32. Let's see if we can make a valid greenhouse with this as a with the walls as a roof. They are connected texture, makes it look nice. Gonna put the door right there. We do not have enough to do this. You know what? This might be too small to actually be a valid structure. But you see, it's not lit up. And again, if I switch to... If I turn off Vexxed Visuals for a moment... This is what will look like for most of you when it's in its off state. So let's try this. It does work. Okay, so you can use the wall blocks as a valid roof. And so now this is a valid greenhouse. It is a very small one. And we are not going to keep it this small, but there we go. Now we know that this does work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline this entire area, this courtyard little area in the blocks. I'm going to need to go get more iron. I've got a ton more processing down. I just finished mining it. Don't want that despawning. And then we can set up a greenhouse over here so we can start growing some crops year round. Again, it's not as necessary in HardRock, although this is very helpful on a multiplayer server, because if you've played on the server, you'll know that time continues to pass so long as anybody is on the server. Since that's the case, your crops, if planted in a field, will rot on you while you're offline. You plant them in your greenhouse and they will not rot. Up and I just had an idea. I can take a regular brick and apply the rustic over a regular brick, and then make that into a chisel and bits block. Yes. And put that over the broken texture. I'm going to do that. I like that idea. Okay. I'm going to get back to work. I'm going to change back to Vexxed Visuals because it's weird seeing this game not with Vexxed Visuals on. All my textures look off. No, not all of them. Just the TerraFirmaCraft ones. The barrels, the chests. I don't like the chest. I don't like the trim on it. I don't know. It just... Door looks nice, though. I like the door. Anyway. I'm going to switch back over, get back to work, and I will bring you back in shortly. Okay, greenhouse is almost done. We just have one more craft to do. And I also need to craft an extra 2 buckets. I'll show you that in a moment, though. We want one more of these. We're going to have one leftover block. But this should finish off the greenhouse. And as you can see, it's already starting to rust. But don't worry. Some blocks can be rusty and others not. And it will still work. As long as the blocks are the same tier. There we go. Greenhouse is valid. Yeah, as long as the blocks are the same tier, it's always going to be valid. So, iron and rusty iron is fine. You also have copper. You have regular copper, you have exposed, you have weathered, and then you have the oxidized copper. Those are interchangeable. So, you know, you place down your copper structure. If it starts to rust or oxidize, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to continue to work. Same goes for the treated wood and the weathered treated wood. The only one that doesn't change is the stainless steel. And yeah, another point is you cannot mix and match, which is why I pretty much never make the treated wood. There's almost no point. The only thing you can make in the treated wood is the quad planter, I think. Useful, but not necessary unless you're on a server. I never build it. I always just go with copper at the very least. It's not that expensive. In fact, you're probably going to have an easier time getting the copper than getting the beeswax to make the treated wood greenhouse. So, yeah, I always just make the copper straight away. So, we want to make some planters. So we have the quad planter, which is 4 bricks and 2 compost. And the large planter, which is 5 bricks and 1 compost. The large can only support one plant at a time. The quad, as you could probably imagine by the name, supports 4. So if I go over here and I place these down and that one down, click that to make sure it's valid, we can go into the very dark storage room because my torches keep running out, and grab some plants. Now the quad can take, well, here you go. If you hover over the vegetables, it tells you what they take. Potatoes can go in quad, oats and other grains go in large. Sugarcane goes in large, beans go in large, cabbage can go in quad, tomatoes in large, pumpkins go in hanging. We didn't make any hanging, but those are hiding somewhere in here. Right here. It's actually the large upside down. And for the hanging ones, you actually have to place them on the ceiling. But then you can grow squash, pumpkins, and I think melons from the hanging. Anyway, we're going to grow some carrots and potatoes in our... Yeah, squash goes in hanging. Carrots and potatoes, wherever the potato seeds went, those are them. In our quad. And that way we will always have crops that we can come back to regardless of the time of year. Now, they're not going to grow right now because they have no moisture. That's why we need the buckets. If I grab one extra piece of lumber, we can actually make a watering can. So we need a block of water. So let's grab some from there. Then we go to our crafting table. And the recipe is 2 buckets. You can use a steel bucket or a red steel bucket or blue steel. Can't use blue steel. You could use a red steel bucket or a regular steel bucket or a wooden bucket. It will not consume one of the buckets. It will consume the other. You also do need a additional piece of lumber. But now we have a bucket of water, which it has no water in it right now. We go over. Okay, I guess it does. Yeah, okay, I guess it does. So it has water in it right now. We can go and water our crops. And it waters it in 25% increments. So do it 4 times. It's now 100%. The crops will grow. You can fertilize them. However, I don't think fertilization of the planters does anything necessary. Pretty sure it doesn't speed up the process, and I'm pretty sure it doesn't increase the yield. So I don't think there's a point to it. But there we go. Now we have a number of different crops. Where were the sugarcane seeds? There we go. I need sugarcane. So we're going to grow some sugarcane in here. Also, the great thing is it's a greenhouse. It'll grow year round. And it doesn't care about the climate or temperature. So there we go. Now we have a greenhouse. Now we can grow crops during the winter. So we always have fresh food. We have our weather deflector, so we don't have to worry about tornadoes messing up our base anymore. And we made our Chisel Bits stuff. Well, you know, I should make a chest, put it over here so we have our greenhouse stuff quickly available to us. All right, we have our Chisel Bits bag and our iron chisel. So I don't usually sleep through the night, but let's get to the morning so we can actually see what we're doing better. There's usually too much going on to waste sleeping through the night, but you know, get it out of the way. So you see we have this little voxel visible. We can right click and actually remove those little voxels. We can also could have sworn it was middle mouse button. Here we go. Shift plus middle scroll wheel will allow you to change the shape. So I just took off most of the blocks. Now we have all these little tiny bits. What we can do now, it's going to mess up the dirt. But we can now, I'll just move the path. We can now place all these little voxels on here to replace the broken texture. Right click looks like it will get rid of them if you place them in the wrong spot. I think you can also use the chisel. But there we go. Now we are replacing the texture, and I believe the Chisel Bits bag, yeah, has all the other bits. So we have over 4,000, well, we had 4,000 bits in there. Right now we're just working with the 64 that are in our hand, and as we use them, they replace directly from the bag. So now we're going to just, I'm going to take a little while to place all of them. I don't think I can use the, nah, I can't use the chisel. Can I use the shift control to? The state you're trying to place is not valid. Oh, okay. So I was able to place a whole thing at once. That's not what I meant to do. All right, that kind of works. What I did was, you see the block outline. I shift to scroll. Ooh, I could actually scroll all the way down to be one thick. So how about I do that instead? Right, one thick, one thick. There we go. Now we can hide the broken texture and make it look good. No more broken texture. Yay! We still have this one broken, but I'm gonna have to fire a new one and use just the normal brick texture instead of the rustic for that. But whatever, we've solved the major issue, which is that ugly broken texture look. For the grass, however, I am going to need to maybe do this. And let the grass grow back there, and that'll be fine. But there we go. That's what we needed to do a while ago, and now we finally got it done. Oh, you can still just barely see the texture. Do I care? Not really. Can I can just, if I scroll till I have just one single voxel again. There we go. There we go. I just had to update the texture a bit. And there we go. So I woke up this morning to a notification on Discord. If you are part of the HardRock server, you may have seen it. Otherwise, well, we have a bit of an update. Earlier in this episode and last episode, I lamented that the health system for HardRock is different than TerraFirmaCraft. Namely, your hearts are controlled by the Spice of Life mod and not your nutrition. Turns out that's not 100% true. If we go into options, here we go. Click the goggles, configure other mods. We want to find TerraFirmaCraft. Go down to client, display, enable health bar, display health as TFC style. We can then save that, confirm, exit back out, and it didn't update. Well, it didn't update. That's a shame. But what I was trying to show you is, even though you see 7 hearts on my screen, I don't actually have 7 hearts worth of HP. The amount of HP you have is still dictated by your nutrition. So in this case, I only have the 1 bar from fruit, meaning the max health I have is actually a lot less than the 4 hearts here. Sorry, 7 hearts here. What is it? It's 3 block drop should do a half heart of damage with no armor on. And I just lost 2 hearts. So what I'm saying is I effectively have a lot less health than is visible there. And that's because the TerraFirmaCraft health system is actually working underneath the... well, in the background. The TerraFirmaCraft health system is still working in the background, even though it's not visually represented. Which means that if we go and we make proper meals... I gotta get rid of all this dust down here. If we make bread, put some meat on it, put cheese on it, put veggies on it, we can fill up our nutrition a lot more, which will actually give us a health boost effectively. It's not... it won't be visible as more hearts, but... alright, right now I have just this 1 health bar. With just this 1 bar of nutrition, these 7 hearts only really count as about 500 HP. And TerraFirmaCraft, 50 HP is the equivalent of half a heart. So 500 HP, I really only have about 5 hearts worth of health, even though I have 7. If I eat enough to fill up 4 nutrition bars here, even though I have 7 hearts here, I will have over 2000 HP, which would be closer to 20 hearts, which means if I do that same 3 block jump, I might not even take a half heart of damage because there's less damage than half a heart taken. It's actually quite good that we start making the greenhouse, so I can start growing all the different sorts of food to make sure we have a stable supply year-round, because all the different food will actually count as a buff. Second thing I wanted to point out is we buried our weather deflector right here. If I try mining it, well, first off, I'm taking damage. I put my pick in my hand and try mining it. The bar is red on the tooltip. That means it's not gonna drop. So make sure you have a location you want the item to go, the deflector to go, before you set it down, because once you set it down, you're not getting it back. I did not try the portable drill. Well, that mines it a lot quicker, but the bar is still red, so that would break it. So yeah, once you put it down, it looks like it's going to stay there forever. And one last thing before we go. I watered these plants manually using the watering can. That's perfectly acceptable, but you can also make a sprinkler using a red steel sheet. If you place this sprinkler on a block that holds water, so that means either a barrel, you can place it on the bottom of a barrel, and as long as the barrel has water in it, it will continuously sprinkle the planters and keep your crops hydrated. It also works with any create tank. So like the tanks that we have here for the steam boiler, the fluid tanks, those will count and will disperse water using the sprinkler. What I did in my last series was I had the water tank in the ceiling, I had the sprinkler on it, and I had a create pipe come up from under the ground into the tank, adding water from a create water pump, and that provided with infinite water to water all my crops. So you can do that to automate your crops to make sure they always stay hydrated so that they always keep growing, because as you see, the water is down to about 57% now on these potatoes, but they've only grown by 6%. They take up more water, they use water faster than they grow. So you're going to need water multiple times. You provided water, you provide sprinkler, you can make sure you actually get a continuous watering of your crops, and they continue to grow whether you are present or not. Anyway, that's a quick update, and I think we're going to end it here for today. So, thank you for joining me today. Hope you've had a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. Later.